China has a 100-year plan to take over around whatever base, right? And okay, we're going to own the property, we're going to take over the power. And it's just, by the time you realize it, it's too late. That's the scary part.
Texas soldier at the ripe age of 22. This is a male, by the way, so brain not fully formed, which is not an excuse. Arrested after allegedly passing sensitive U.S. battle tank info to Russia, or at least he thought he was. Private First Class Taylor Adam Lee, a 22-year-old U.S. Army soldier stationed at Fort Bliss, Texas, was arrested on August 6th, 2025. Holy cow, that is really recent. I didn't realize it was this recent. On charges of attempting to transmit national defense information to a foreign adversary and attempting to export controlled technical data without a license. Lee, holding a top secret, sensitive, compartmented information, also known as TSSCI clearance, allegedly sought to provide sensitive information about the M1A2 Abrams tank and other military assets to individuals he believed were Russian Ministry of Defense representatives. In June of 2025, so again, also not that long ago, Lee began transmitting classified technical information online and later met with a contact in July, handing over an SD card containing documents related to U.S. military equipment and operations. He also allegedly delivered a piece of tank hardware to a storage unit in El Paso and sent a mission accomplished message upon completion of these actions. The Department of Justice has emphasized the seriousness of this breach, highlighting the threat posed by insider espionage and reaffirming its commitment to prosecuting such offenses. The question is, what challenges are we facing from insider threats like this from inside of the U.S. military and security, and how do intelligence and counterintelligence agencies work to detect and prevent sensitive information from being leaked to adversaries in this manner?
Yeah, I mean, first, we can't hire stupid people. Besides the fact he's 22, at this point, that technology is about 10 years old. The Russians probably weren't even looking for it. They probably already have it, right? So he picked a random thing, or he was entrapped into some random component that the Russians don't even need, and screwed up his whole life, right? So we have this problem where people think for some reason they own what's in their workplace, right? Like, oh, I work on this, I own this, this is mine. You don't just see this in the government. You see it in, I went to SpaceX years ago because they were having some problems, and they were having employees selling stuff on like eBay because they were like, well, I work. Yeah, they're like, I worked on it, I owned it. Yeah, like plans and stuff.
Strong work.
Yeah. It's this strange belief, right? Well, it's mine, I own it in some way. And there seems like we have to retrain people to be like, I know they sign a bunch of papers and you have this online training, but it's not very good, right? You need to make them understand the real effects of it. I've been to the DoD online training. It doesn't teach you anything, right? So you got to hire good, and then you really have to let them know the consequences. And the problem is there's less and less consequences, right? Edward Snowden's a hero and has a movie. Reality Winner got off basically completely for stealing secrets. So we also don't have people afraid anymore that they're going to go to prison for 20 years or be charged with treason. And I really do think we should bring that back. You have to have a fear when you're going to undercut your government. I also do worry, though, when you entrap these people who aren't very smart to begin with.
Yeah.
Even if he reached out to the real Russians, they probably would have turned him in, right? Because they're like, we are not going to recruit someone like this, right? They're not going to recruit someone who's this dumb. So that's a problem too, right? We want to get the smart people, the counterintelligence people the Russians want. That's the person I want to stop. That's the person I don't want communicating with the Russians. That's who I want to spend my time on, because they're the deadly ones. They could be an asset for 10 or 20 years and cause real damage to our country. I think we dropped the ball on counterintelligence because of the focus on counterterrorism. We don't even think of terrorists being able to do it, and they do it. So I think we have to almost like start from scratch and tell everyone, you're a counterintelligence officer first.
Everybody, let's be real with each other for a second. Most doctors do not care about optimization. They do care about you, but they're checking your basic labs. They tell you that everything is looking normal, and they're going to send you on your way. Meanwhile, you're feeling tired, your performance is slipping, and you know that something is off, and that is where Marek Health comes in. Marek Health isn't your typical doctor's office. They're a next-level health optimization platform that actually listens to you, runs advanced lab testing, and helps you optimize your hormones, your metabolism, and your overall performance. So whether you're looking to boost your energy, maybe gain some muscle mass, or you just feel like you're not your best self anymore and you want to change that, Marek gives you those tools and can help you make it happen. You have two options. You can go with their guided optimization program and get a dedicated health coach and medical provider to help you with supplements and prescription treatments. Or if you're more of a do-it-yourself type of person, you can order self-service lab tests and take control of your health on your own terms. The best part is, either option that you pick, you can get 10% off of your order right now. Just go to marekhealth.com and use the code Focal Point at checkout. That's MAREK health.com with the code Focal Point for 10% off. When I first read this, I was thinking this, I had the same thought you did. I'm like, wow, the M1 it's not cutting edge technology. It's a great tank. Mm-hmm. But I mean, at this point, you could probably do an open source search and probably find just about anything that you would want. Why do you, and then I was, a few sentences before that, what are your thoughts on a 22-year-old having a TS SCI? Because I had one when I was at JSOC. You had to have one. And I mean, they did, the deal. It's a full interview process. It takes, and I had people from my past when I saw them years later, like, yeah, somebody actually did come talk to us. So I think I had an interim for almost 2 years. And then eventually they're like, oh, hey, it came through. You can go get your badge now with hash marks through it or whatever. It was a full square instead of whatever the interim clearance was. But it took a long time. But I was also at a place where, you probably had a need to know to get read into some of the programs that those entities interface with. What are your thoughts on a 22-year-old with a TSSCI? Should it be harder to get?
It should probably be harder to get because you don't have a lot of life experience. You haven't been through much. And really, when you're vetting someone for a clearance, one of the things you look at is, how could you be manipulated, right? Do you have marriage problems, financial problems, alcohol problems? Well, those haven't really formed yet when you're 22. So you're being vetted on kind of like your clean persona, which is really interesting, right? And maybe something like that. Maybe there should be a kind of an interim level. But at the end of the day, this is a person who wants to commit espionage against their country, right? Like, I don't care if they're 22, 30, 45, like that's a bad apple.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I don't care what age you are, right? And so that's the complicated piece. You can't just say, okay, under 25, we'll do a different vetting, because you still have that problem. We have a lot of an activist generation now too, right? Where people are willing to take these jobs and do these things to undercut the government, which is also a very concerning thing. But there's a history of that. We need to spend more time looking at their social media, their activities, their friends. It is kind of lazy in how they do background checks, right? They go ask a couple people who know you, then they ask them to recommend a couple people. And it's really not done that well if you actually look at it. And there's so many clearances. That's another thing. There's probably too many people with clearances, too many people hold clearances too long. There's things that are top secret. Do they need to be top secret? No. Also, do you need to be able to read all this other stuff if you have the top secret? No. If you don't work Syria, you should not have all the Syria reporting at your desk to read, right? So some of that stuff I think could be tailored better.
Yeah, of course, there's the need to know, right? There's the security clearance, and then there's the need to know. It's funny, people think that you have a clearance and you just spend every day in a skiff and you'd be like, oh, today I would like to learn around sensitive electronic equipment. Like, no. I also tell people, they only read me into 2 programs and they were both the dumbest programs I've ever heard of in my life. And I won't give any information about them, but I may have in the years since then done like peripheral Google searches, and it's like completely open source if you know what to look for. So it's kind of, it's like, what are we doing here? Another one that's interesting to me about this one, I'm curious your thoughts. That's foreign, like China owning real estate all around military bases. To me, that's as much of a threat as something like this. I think we need to take a more holistic approach, in my opinion, at least. I think counterintelligence, like you said, this heavy focus on counterterrorism for obvious reasons, and I'm glad that we did it. But the counterintelligence. And why do we allow countries like China to buy up large portions of real estate by our military installations? Why do we do this?
Yeah, I don't know. And remember, that's not just real estate. Then they have control of the infrastructure,
Yeah.
right? The ground rights, etc. Was talking to someone in Turkey, and this happened in Turkey slowly, right? So it was really interesting. It's like China wanted basically full control of the airport in Istanbul. Okay, so what they started doing is buying businesses in the area. And then things closer. Then they ended up buying the power plant. Anyway, at the end of the day, I believe they now own like the guard tower at the airport, right? So it was this slow progression. And there's a lot of foreign companies involved. People at times thinking we're doing business with Turkish companies, but they just slowly crept in. At the end, it's like, okay, actually, China, if they want, can shut down the entire airport at any time in Istanbul, right?
Yeah.
But they're doing that here, but we have such a hard time working on anything long term, right? People sit in the DoD for like 2 years and they move to something else. Well, China has a 100-year plan
Yeah.
to take over around whatever base, right? And okay, we're going to own the property, we're going to take over the power. And it's just by the time you realize it, it's too late. That's the scary part.
Yeah. I don't know why we allow it to begin with, but it could also happen, like you said, through a variety of cutouts or shell companies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, okay, now some people are starting to raise this as potentially a national security issue. And my response to that is cool. Maybe let's treat it like one.
Yeah, we should. But we waited too long, as always, and now, of course, it's super complicated because all these people own this land. We don't even know what they all own. Remember, this isn't just around bases. I mean,
Yeah.
they own huge portions of our ports. So think about it. We're going to war. Who cares if they shut off a power around that base? When your troops get to the port, they're not going to be able to leave because China can shut down the whole port because they own huge chunks of it, right? So
Yeah.
that's the crazy part. They're at all these layers, and we're only focused on farmland. We got to focus on every layer that they have put into place to shut us down, so we can't respond to war, because that's what it's for. And I think people need to be honest that they own this stuff to stop us from deploying and responding in the future to a war. That's the truth. And if more Americans understood, oh, that's what this is for, maybe they'd be more supportive of it too.
Yeah, I agree.
They were ghosts. Who are these guys?
I've never heard this before.
Right behind me, we have armed police. They're ready for sort of riot patrol.
I'm Sean Ryan, and I'm hosting the new Ironclad original, Target Intelligence PSYOP.
We're not framing history correctly.
Has the government conducted secret UAP crash retrieval programs, yes or no?
Yes. It's an Ironclad original.
An Ironclad original.
An Ironclad original.
Ironclad original.
Ironclad original.
An Ironclad original.